I hold my hands up on certain things, and now Mikel was becoming a problem. I had a massive argument with a couple of fans in going to the game yesterday.
Going to the game?
Yeah, that wanted Mikel out, calling him names and things like that. And I'm there defending it. And then 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, the team sheet comes out and they're going, oh, that the fraud's done it again. And I can't have the word fraud. I can't have that word because of what he's done for us. But I'm starting now to not defend. I can't defend what's happening. When it comes to Mikel Arteta, he's got a lot of things right in his football club. Let's get it right as well. So I'm going to still stick up for him and keep going him. But questions are there now. And one of my mates who's not Mikel out phoned me yesterday and said, I think the other guys are right. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, like, you know, we're not doing well yesterday. He doesn't change things. Why can't he bring Odegaard out to the left-hand side to try and help that out? Why can't he do that? Why doesn't he vary something a little bit different? The things are not working on the left-hand side. You've got, you know, put him out there. And I said, yeah. And another thing he said, it's not working between Saka and Martinelli. Swap them over. Why ain't he doing things like that? And I get that. I actually, listening to it yesterday, I actually agreed with what he was saying. I said, I don't know why, I can't explain that. And they're the little things that people are now starting to get, because you're right, what you're saying it is born, because when we don't get the right result, this is what we're coming up with, the same answers all the time.
Same problems.
And now Turkish is going to come
every single week.
But I'm going to start with Mikel, because you lot have mentioned chopping up the left-hand side. When I saw the lineup, I thought, why are you chopping up the right-hand side? Yeah. Timber's been so important to our attack since the international break, as important as Odegaard and Saka on that side. He's the one that takes attention away from them, picks up good pockets of space in the box. He's the one creating triangles there. All of a sudden, you've moved him out. Why? Because Zinchenko's injured. The same Zinchenko that you brought Lewis Skelly on ahead of against Liverpool at home. You brought Lewis Skelly on against Man City. Lewis Skelly come on against the two best clubs in this league over the last few years. But when it comes to starting against a Fulham side where, all right, Adama Traore would have been a handful. He's a handful for every defender. Whether it's Lewis Skelly, Zinchenko, Tierney, Calafiori, he would have been a handful for anyone. I just don't understand how you so easily just take something that's working so well and change it up. When you've shown faith in a Lewis Skelly in bigger games, higher pressure moments, when you need to protect the lead, 15 minutes to go with 10 men at Etihad. But you can't start him against Fulham to keep that right-hand side ticking. So that was the first thing for me. The second thing is Marino. What? You've moved our best centre mid out of the midfield to put on as right back. And this ain't against Jorginho for me. This is more for you've signed the midfielder in the summer. You don't put him in his position when you can actually put Rice in the 6 and him in the 8. What are you doing? Forget Sterling for a sec, who we know what it is with Sterling. It was nonsense. It was just a deadline day. Here you go, whatever. We know what that was now. But Marino, what is actually going on? Arteta couldn't beat Arne Slot this season. And he also didn't beat Maresca, 2 new managers in the league. I'm sorry, when Pep faced up against new managers, he more often than not wiping the floor with them. Klopp too. Arteta in the first season of we've got to win it, because last season was the first season of expectation where we've got a challenge to game week 38. This season is the one we've got to win it. He's tripping up against new managers in the league. He's behind. He's so far, or I say he, whatever you want to. We are so far behind Liverpool. It's 6 points with Liverpool. I'm seeing it as 9. And people shouldn't hold that against me, because I'm seeing it as 9. You might see it as 6 with a game in hand. It's not points on the board. I get that. But Liverpool won this weekend. Does everyone get that? They won without playing, because Man City didn't do their job and we failed to even capitalise on Man. We could have gone 5 clear on Man City this weekend. Did we throw the kitchen sink at Fulham?
No, I agree. But you know, Turkish actually
sorry, James, before you come in, we never throw the kitchen sink at teams because Arteta is so methodical up until the last 10 fucking seconds of the game. You've got a tall target man like Havertz. How about the last 10 minutes, you just chuck him in that box and let's just get it in there and have the little players work off him. Let's just go old school a little. But no, it might not work, but let's try something different. Try something different.
On that point, sorry, just quickly, Jane, before you come in. On that point, though, to be fair to Arteta, we've actually scored a lot of late goals by playing the way that he likes to play. So I know fans like to say sometimes chuck it in the mixer. Fine, that may yield some goals, but we have scored in the last couple of years quite a lot of late goals by playing.
But you can't rely upon that. Like, we're talking about Reece Nelson, Bournemouth, and we're talking about, we can't rely upon, we shouldn't be relying upon that, just that. We should have different facets to this. Come back to the lack of options in attack. We need to be winning stuff now. 5 years in, and I like Mikel. I think he is going to be a great manager, whether it's here or somewhere else now. But it's too many times we've talked about this. As Havertz all of a sudden in midfield against Villa towards the end of last season, he just does things sometimes that you think, brother, what are you doing? Because I said before, 10 games can build their fear factor, 2 games can just throw it out the window.
Turkish, he contradicts a lot of what he says. He said in pre-season that he talks about not liking to break dynamics and playing players in certain positions because he doesn't want to break things that are going really well, but we can just chuck Timber left back. I made a suggestion, I tweeted it. That same back four could have been Partey at right back with Timber, Saliba, Kivior at left back.
Oh, yeah.
Therefore, at least you still had a left footer at left back who played that position in the run-in really well last season. And therefore, I think Lewis Skelly could have played. I think Tierney could have played. Hell, you could have put Marino left back and asked him to invert. You could have done a lot that didn't disrupt what Partey had to do, Timber's role, in my opinion. But at least you could have maybe done that because Kivior, albeit very good against Man United, I gave him all the flowers for that. That's probably a more balanced 11 in terms of the fact that you need to invert Partey or do whatever. So he does that. He contradicts quite a lot of what he says. He contradicts quite a lot of what actually he's typically done really well. Like have Havertz in the running and then, actually, I'm going to need you in midfield for this one against Villa. Oh, no, we've dropped points.
He gets carried away with these things, though, isn't it? Like, all right, mate, you figured it out, so something hasn't worked, you figured it out. But why do you keep it running till the wheels fall off? Surely you knew that Havertz isn't a striker. Surely you knew that you put him there and it's worked better than him as a midfielder. Surely you knew that.
Which is why Lee's point at the start of this podcast with Arteta regarding backing him because he got it wrong yesterday is really pertinent as well, because there's so many games I could point to this season where he's done things tactically that have benefited us, and you're like, you know what, hands up, that I didn't see that coming. He's done well. But then he'll undo it the following week or 2 weeks later by doing a madness.
Exactly. It's like
you
the
got
praise
it right 2 weeks ago.
The praise comes in defensive. Look at them away to City, Tottenham away without Odegaard. They've done their thing. He rolls it onto other teams. He starts rolling it onto Bournemouth. You could go down to 10 men against Bournemouth. Let's go all hands on deck. It's like he's getting carried away with some of these things, and it's funny because he remains so balanced in you. Sorry.
No, I interrupted you. Sorry, Karen.
No, but it's funny because he remains so balanced usually. He comes across so calm and, his persona is that of a man that you feel is in control. But I feel like in his mind, he loses control with some of the praise or some of the things that are working well, and he thinks that's it now.
And that is why we can't go on a 10 to 12 game winning run. That's
100%.
That's why it's the evidence is there. It was there last year. We've done fantastically well. And when it comes to the crunch against Aston Villa, he made the decisions that cost us. He did with the game. And this is where people get the ump with him and all that. You look at it yesterday as well. Maybe last season was fantastic with Kai Havertz up front because no one expected it. Now everybody knows that's
good point.
What Arsenal do. I think that you look at Fulham yesterday. They look at footage. They look at how can we stop Arsenal, and what they've done was, I tell you what, we give up all the space on the right hand side and just concentrate on defending on the left side. They worked on it, and it worked. So you've got to try something different. Come up with something different. And maybe, as my mate said yesterday, the coming up with difference is we've got January the 1st coming up. You go in and get your big striker, or you go and get something. I think with Mikel, I'm still a big fan of his. I think that, someone said to me, "Oh, you wanted him out 3 years ago." You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I did. I don't want him out at this moment in time. I don't, because there's things that I like what I see at times. I go to games thinking that we're going to win games, but there are now games when I'm going to that game yesterday. I'm walking along the Thames, and I'm thinking this could be the end of our title today. And then when the team comes out, I'm going, what are you doing? Now, hindsight's a wonderful thing. We can win that game. Everybody goes, oh, it was a great move, like, you know what I mean? But there's too many of fans at this moment in time going, and I don't know how we all feel. When we all looked at that team sheet yesterday, did we all think, yeah, that's the right thing? I don't think that there was. I'm with a lot of Arsenal fans yesterday, and not one of them turned around and said, yes, that's the right thing to do. Everybody was concerned or had reservations about that team. Listen, if I've been really honest, he's probably got more right than he's wrong, because we're challenging. But this is the season when I think I'm getting frustrated now with everything. I'm ready to explode on Mikel. I'm ready to explode on the players now, because I know that we should be better than what we are. I put out yesterday, like, we're 4 points worse off at this stage than we were last season. If we win our next 4, we're 7 points better than what we was going into. But then you have to look at it from that January to May. We was nigh on perfect. I don't see it with this team.
I think if there's one thing I'd say about Mikel Arteta, who I've been critical of in this podcast and at other times this season, I agree with what you said, Turkish. I think he will get there eventually. I think the thing I'd want him to know, and like he doesn't give a fuck what someone on a podcast thinks, but have players that are on your level, that have players that as at the level they are as a player are at his level in management. Now, the reality is he hasn't won the big time, and actually neither of most of the players. Funny enough, it's actually the ones we want gone that have. But look at the group you're working with and really ask yourself, are they really the guys that are going to... Ben White, yes. William Saliba, yes. Declan Rice, yes. David Raya, certainly this season, yes. Like, there are Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, yes, of course. But like, and I know you can't have 20 world-class players, but look at your group. Gabriel, yes. But look at a lot of the key players that you still have in that team going out week in, week out, that you've actually trusted for a good 2-3 years maybe, and ask yourself, Mikel, you want to win the biggest honours, like, of everyone at that football club. It doesn't look like it hurts anyone more than him. You saw the way he spoke on the final day when we lost to City. Like, he's the one on the touchline. He's the one doing it all. So really be ruthless. If you want this, like, look at that group and ask yourself, really, who is genuinely up to it? Genuinely up to it.